So I think everyone's seen the Wired article now about the paid shills for the Democratic Party, the influencers that are more than happy to take over $10,000 probably per campaign to divert attention away from the Democrats and blah, 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 blah. So I worked for the Democratic Party in 2016, and during my time there, I was sexually harassed by a local precinct member, and I published about that in one of my articles called Requirement Politics, where I detailed a list of normalized sexual violences. And I told my immediate, superior about the situation on the phone. And they said, that's part of the job. That's just what, you just gotta deal with that sometimes. And then that same direct superior came to me maybe a few months later, because I only worked for them during the summer or on the era of Pokemon Go. That same direct superior ended up, turns out, even though I had top numbers of all the folks in my area, because I kept all the data sets to show that I was the top running campaign manager in my part of the state in Indiana. They fired me after giving me an ultimatum and having me say, well, we can't keep you on if you're going to teach during your master's, which you told us you would at the beginning of accepting this offer. And we said, that's okay. And then they still fired me for not wearing a bra. That turns out I got DMs from somebody that I worked with on a different campaign. So we were like coworkers, but not really coworkers. They DM'd me after the election, after Trump was elected, etc., and said, hey, I just wanted you to know you got fired for not wearing a bra. My direct superior told me. So if you're curious about why I have such overt disdain for the Democrats, because I knew better than to work with them when I first did, but I was poor as absolute fuck and needed the money, and then they destroyed any semblance of financial stability I had. They can go fuck themselves. They can go fuck themselves for a decade, let alone being a horrible fucking other wing of the Imperial Court that pays and does deliberately acts of genocide. A lot of politicians that I worked with in a year or two later, they were all caught paying money into a fucking sham of I forget what it was. It was like a car wash or some shit, straight out of Breaking Bad. They were all in collusion, political bribery and fraud. This isn't new. Democrats love exerting their corporate influence and paying shills to hide all semblance of secrets. As a leftist content creator myself, and a leftist academic who has been disillusioned with academia because I watched the Democrats claim that the pandemic is over, as I continued to watch all of my colleagues and all of the Democrat heads say, yeah, disabled black and brown people, they can die. It's fine. And now we're watching all of the research show that it causes full body damage, disablement, and death of things people aren't connecting the dots on, while they continue to perpetuate the genocides. We need to fucking change everything. And my work details ways that we individually and need fundamental individual and systemic changes.